Hi, I'm Gia Taylor, founder of Gia Taylor Cosmetics, and you're watching South Jersey Business with Joe Molineaux.
Welcome to South Jersey Business with Joe Molineaux. Thank you for joining us as we share information, tips, and techniques that can make our business community and your business more successful. Thank you to Stockton University for the opportunity to produce this show focusing on business in South Jersey. In just a moment, we will talk with Gia Taylor, founder of Gia Taylor Cosmetics. Gia Taylor's passion and drive provided the foundation for Gia Taylor Cosmetics during the COVID-19 lockdown. What began as a hobby is now an accomplished business, featuring a brand that empowers and uplifts, and also has a strong commitment to the community and environment, with all of her products being vegan and cruelty-free. It is my pleasure to feature this shining entrepreneur on today's show. Let's get right down to business with today's featured guest, Gia Taylor. Gia, thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So take us back to the beginning. You know, we mentioned that during lockdown you started this. Take us back to, how old you were and how this all started.
So I was 17 years old, and 17 years still in high school. I'm living in my parents' house, and COVID hit, and it kind of put a magnifying glass on your hobbies. Now you can only stay inside and do anything indoors, really.
Yeah.
So what I was interested in was makeup and creating crafts and everything creative, really, like bracelets, baking, you name it. And so I combined my two favorite things, makeup and creating items, into what if I created makeup. And so that year, really, where we were stuck in our houses, I was able to spend formulating my own formula of lip gloss, which was the main product that I had issues with when shopping for. Yeah. They were really sticky, or the flavors weren't really there. There just wasn't what I was looking for. So I took that year to formulate something that I was looking for.
Wow, so this is a great entrepreneurial story already. You took a need that you recognized and turned it into a product that you thought not just you would enjoy, but that other people would enjoy. So before we get to the products, because I do want to talk about the products, there was a situation where you had this opportunity, an unexpected launch, I guess. It was where your product was actually out in the public, and it was because of a recommendation of someone you knew?
Yeah, so that's what made the turning point from hobby to business. After I came up with my formula, I had an abundance of these lip glosses now, and I would sell them to my friends and family, and they loved them, but it was like, thank you, grandma, or thank you, best friend, of course you like this. Yeah. But what made that turning point was my aunt had invited me to a vendor show that she was a part of. It was very small at her work, and she got me a table there, and I had just a couple dozen, maybe, of my products. They were mostly unbranded, even. A couple had sticker logos. My business cards were handwritten, and I sold out my entire table within a couple hours, and it was that moment that I realized other people from my community are buying this because they like the product, not just because they like me. Yeah,
but that's a bonus. If they like the person, they trust the person they're buying from, that's even a bonus.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the products. You did bring some of them here today, but it expanded from the lip gloss into not just different types of lip gloss and things that relate to lips and lip gloss, but other products. Do you want to talk a little bit about your product line?
Yeah, so lip gloss is where my heart is, because that's where it all started. So we have over 50 at all times in our website. But I also make lip scrub, lip oil, lip balm. Our brand new item here is what I call a lip glaze. That's brand new. It's starting to get pretty popular. It's a cross between a lip gloss and a balm. So it is semi-solid, and it melts on your lips with contact, with the heat of your lips. So it's very hydrating, super shiny. Yeah. And people loved my cosmetics so much that they were like, I wish I could put this all over. Like, I want skincare from you. So I did spend a couple years formulating my skincare, primarily our lotions, as shown in the middle there. And that has taken off now. It's been in our shop for over a year, and we have a good selection of lotion.
That's awesome. So as part of your entrepreneurial journey, I'm sure things were, you had some surprises along the way. Can you point to one thing that really surprised you, whether it was sort of expected or unexpected, but it was something that totally surprised you along this path that you're leading to success in business?
Definitely a positive surprise, but the biggest surprise is the instant connection that I had with some of my customers. Like, they loved this product so much that they come back for more, or they buy a second one to share with their sister, or they've told me, it's the first thing I put on when I wake up, last in the evening. And that was a big surprise. Like this
Yeah.
item that I made is now part of somebody's daily routine that I didn't know elsewise.
I love it.
Yeah.
So the flip side of that, was there one thing that might have been a little more challenging than you thought? I mean, we don't need to go into details on challenges on the SWOT analysis or anything, but one challenge that you faced that you were like, wow, I didn't expect that?
The business part, like the actual business part, just making sure like all ends are met, like
Yeah.
getting licensed and insured and
Sure.
registered properly. Like
Oh, you did all that.
I did all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
did
good.
all that. It's just hard navigating when you're 18. So it was uncertain. Yeah.
So clearly you have a smile on your face as we're talking about the business. What is one of your favorite things? I know you talked about the unexpected part of connecting with people, but what is one of your favorite things about being an entrepreneur with a potentially global market, right? But being located in Cape May County, what's one of your favorite things?
What I love about where we live is we have our barrier islands that draw in people that don't necessarily live here year round. So while I'm able to build connection locally through events all throughout the year, in the summertime, we get that market where I can connect with people who don't live here year round, and I'm connecting with someone who lives states or countries away that I elsewise would never meet. I'm not doing a show in Virginia or California, but here they are for a week.
Or in Europe.
Right, here they are for a week, we met, and now we're connected, and they're gonna order online.
I think because of the product you chose and the environment you live in, which is a very highly tourism environment, right, with millions of people that come to visit, as you said, you get to basically test new products, get that reaction from people, see the response, and build your audience in a very organic way with the help of the environment you live in. I can't think of a better recipe for success.
Absolutely, yeah, it's been amazing.
Well, listen, sit tight because we have plenty of show left, but we're going to get back to some more questions in just a second.
Okay.
Next up, a quick look at how you can check out past episodes of the show. And then we'll be right back with more business talk featuring Gia Taylor, founder of Gia Taylor Cosmetics, right here on South Jersey Business with Joe Molineaux. Solid business requires a solid strategy. Let's discover a few tips and maybe a lesson or two from this show's featured guest, Gia Taylor, founder of Gia Taylor Cosmetics, on today's strategy session. Gia, how do you describe success?
I describe success when a customer comes back. That's my own metric because it's my product and I take it pretty wholeheartedly when they give me their feedback to it, and I think the most flattering feedback is them coming back for more. Or sharing it with a friend and they leave a review saying I ordered 2 this time, 1 for me and my sister, or whatever it may be, but always coming back is the greatest flattery.
That's a great barometer. You know, I think people think like that, but I think they want to see like more metrics, but you're just saying, look, it's a return customer.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you did worked because they came back. The product was right, the fit was right, the need was there, you fulfilled it, all good stuff. Speaking of success, how would you describe your current growth strategy and where you're going with somebody that you're just meeting for the first time or just getting to know? How would you describe the success you've met so far in this business?
Success I've met so far, I would describe it as my personal drive is just every single day in and out. Like I want to go into my office to create these products and get them out there in people's hands. And the feedback that I get from that fuels that every single day.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, they do say that if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life. And that smile on your face,
Absolutely.
I don't think we could clean that smile off with all the gloss in the world.
Yeah.
We couldn't gloss over it, right? But you have a very dynamic, speaking of gloss and products, you have a very dynamic line, and you went through some of it already, told us about it. But I'm really curious, and I think other people are curious, what goes into that creative process of what you're bringing to market? And even more importantly for me, because I'm a name guy, how do you come up with, and what's the process that inspires you for not just how you do things and how you create them and put them out there, but how you name them? Because you have some really clever names.
Thank you so much. The products themselves, my favorite thing to do with them is holiday launches. That's why I brought some of my holiday ones here.
Clearly.
I love the holidays, and I'm always influenced by big brands and chains that have these launches, and I, as a consumer, get excited for them. And I want to be on the other end of that. I want people to be excited for what I have to offer. And the names for them, truthfully, it comes from when I was really little and my mom would be in those makeup aisles forever. And I was reading like the nail polish and the lipstick, and they all have all these funky names, which a lot of them are outdated. But
sure.
I loved them, and I was like, these are so corny. Like, I want to make that.
So you've updated that into current, like, there's some of the names are great. Like, I remember my daughters were looking at your website and your social media, and even some of your products, you know, and saying, wow, these are great names. Like, you know, you had the Halloween stuff going, and now you have the holiday things going.
Ghouls Night Out.
Yeah, Ghouls Night Out is great. That's like perfect. So you've been in business for now a number of years. You said 5 years. Congratulations, by the way. That's like a lifetime in some people's businesses, and you're still growing and going and doing all kinds of stuff. But what is one of the most important business lessons you've learned? If you point to a single business lesson that you might have learned in the growth of your business, what has that been so far?
The best thing that I've learned is consistency is way more important than perfection. During my early years, I would get really caught up on why didn't that video perform well? And then I would get in my head and not post for a couple days, a week, maybe weeks on end, because I was just so deflated on why that didn't perform. And as I've grown, I've been more confident in my own skin and been like, so what if it doesn't perform? I'm gonna keep putting that content out there, keep showing people what I have, and that performs. Like, you show up every single day, people see you showing up, and they will come.
That is really great advice, especially for someone. I mean, we were not even at the M4 big money question yet, and you're already giving great advice. That's great advice for someone starting out. And you said consistency over perfection.
Don't need to be perfect all the time.
Yeah, you do need to perform as part of the consistency, but over perfection. Like, don't seek for perfection all the time. Seek for the consistency, or do the consistency, and hopefully the success will come. Wow. So you've been doing this business, as we mentioned, for a number of years now. You started during COVID, which was a wild time, right? You're clearly, you know, very successful. You're working hard. You're going to school. You're also building relationships. So I have to ask you, you got a successful business, all those other things. How do you balance all those things into, you know, that what life brings you? How do you balance?
I try to set boundaries with myself a lot. Like, if I say I'm going to be at a family dinner at 5 o'clock, even if I am looking like I need to stay at the office a little bit longer, I make sure to put down what I'm doing and I go spend that family time. If I need to go back to the office, that's totally fine. And I also always remind myself that a big part of what my customers value in my business is that it's a small business and that I'm truthful with them. So if I say, hey guys, I need to postpone this launch, like a family emergency came up, or I'm just having a bad mental day today, they understand that because they have families too, they have bad days too, and they would rather something be postponed for a day or me take a day than put something out that my full effort wasn't in or the quality wasn't there.
I think you just described, like in a phrase, the word being authentic.
Thank you.
And is that something that you think resonates with your customers? Does that bring the customer back? Because you're very much a social media presence. You're very honest with your customers. Your products speak for themselves with the integrity and the fact that they're organic and vegan and non-animal cruel, testing or anything like that. Do you think that authenticity really makes a difference between why people support you versus other brands that they could support?
Always. I'm never afraid to own up if I made a mistake. Like, sometimes I make a batch wrong and I'm like, okay guys, there's a mix up here, but they're discounted and they love it and they understand that, and they would rather the proper product be made and maybe get a discount on the bad one. But I do always try to.
Well, clearly this strategy session went really well because you're doing a lot of things right. I want you to sit tight because we have some more show coming up.
Thank you.
Up next, we're putting Gia Taylor to the test with the M4 Big Money question right here on South Jersey Business with Joe Molineaux. As you are aware, management, marketing, money, and media are the essential parts of any business. And when you are the founder of your own cosmetic company that possesses a unique edge to its offerings, you need to know exactly how to mix up all 4 M's. So it's time for the M4 Big Money Question with today's featured guest, Gia Taylor, founder of Gia Taylor Cosmetics. Gia, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. So let's start with your management style. Talk to me a little bit about how you manage your processes, how you manage the people you work with. How do you manage?
How I manage my processes is a semi-chaotic form of lists and calendars. I have a calendar that I work where I put the end date, like a launch for example, our holiday launch. And then I work backwards, what needs to get done from there, and that's the order that it's in. And then I take that order and put it on my list. And then I work on that list every day I go into the office.
It's great. It's like a combination of management by objectives with some begin with the end in mind, with some planning ahead and working backwards. I love it. I think that's great. Great answer. Let's talk about the marketing, and maybe we can focus more on the traditional forms of marketing, you know, like the business cards and things like that. What sort of marketing do you use that are more traditional forms of marketing?
I'm gonna lean towards when I do in-person events. That's when you see me with like physical, tangible marketing things.
Yeah, face-to-face.
Yes.
Yeah.
I make sure that my presence at my shows is always in your face. Like, you know I'm there. If you're there coming for me, you know exactly where I am in the show.
Yeah.
I have a big pink tent, and I have a big pink tulle bow that goes over the whole tent. It's 10 feet.
Wow.
All of my tables have
How cool.
pink ruffles all around them, and I have a banner that has our logo and our tag, and behind me is a big logo. And then, of course, all of the products are branded on the table throughout. And whether the person comes up and buys something or not, I always make sure to get a business card in their hand, always.
Good.
And I always have them in my pocket, in my phone case, they're all over. And when I have promotions coming up, even though they aren't necessarily an online shopper currently, they're in person, I always have a printout of the promotion that's coming up. So I can say, if you like this product, check it out online. You can get X, Y, and Z deal.
Plus, one important ingredient to that mix that you just talked about for the marketing is people get to meet the creator.
Yes.
They're meeting the founder and creator of the business, so that's a big draw as almost anything, I think, at that point, you know, with all the other things you're putting out.
I have a big sign that says my story, and it's a picture of me and my mom when I was little, and
I love
they get to like read about it.
How great. That's awesome. Let's go to the third M, which is money. Everybody needs to talk about it at some point, right? How important is money to this equation?
Yeah. Starting out, very truthful, the business was looked at as just taking money from me. Like, I was just putting it in when I was little. I was 17, but it feels like a little while ago and in high school.
Yes.
But then it turned over and it was actually starting to make a bit of a profit. And once I saw that, I made it very clear to myself that I need to value this business because it will bring value to me, and I need to respect it as like its own living, breathing thing. So
and
I
you
always
had invested in it.
Yes. So I always make sure that when money comes in, every expense is always met before I go and take anything out for myself. The next launch needs to be paid for, needs to be planned out and fully ready before I take out for myself. And the products themselves, the way I price them, I always break down like what it costs to me, and then I do a little market analysis, see what other companies that have similar products are selling at, and I try to make it on the more affordable end because I was never able to afford a lot of those big brands.
Well, clearly you're responding to the needs of your client base, but also having success in doing so. That's great. All right, now we got to get to that fourth M. That's important, right? Media. So this is the stuff that I think where you really shine, and you have a unique market that you're capturing through this connection you're making with people. What type of social media do you use, and how important is that to your mix?
I use every social media besides Facebook, which I know is like the OG, but I just can't figure it out. I don't know why.
Well, listen, if it's not for you, it's not for you. There's other people that use that, and you use everything else really well.
Yeah, TikTok is my main focus. I love TikTok. I am not ashamed to say I'm a content creator. I'm a TikToker. Like, I'm on all day long scrolling through, getting video ideas, seeing what other people do. And I try to emulate videos that I am captivated by. I'm like, why am I watching this still? I need to do that. But yeah, I spend hours a day just filming, editing, voicing over, and then those videos I usually change a little bit, and I bring them to other media platforms like Instagram or YouTube.
Because you know the audience, right? You're right fitting that offer for that audience. That's great. So one final question in this segment, since you did so well with the rest of the questions, what's your favorite M?
It's marketing, but I wouldn't just say media, because I do like that in-person connection.
Media and marketing, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'll
media
give you
and
two.
marketing.
You're that good. I'll give you two.
I like that in-person connection, but I love my online presence too, because I've made such close friends online and great connections with my customers online that I've never seen in person. I don't know how tall they are, where they live. I don't know anything about these people physically, but I've grown connections to them online, and in person I get to meet my local people.
That is wonderful, and I want to thank you for sharing the answers to the M4 Big Money question today.
Thank you.
There you have it, Gia Taylor's well-balanced mix of management, marketing, money, and media. We have some more business content coming up, including another segment with today's featured guests. So stick around for more South Jersey Business with Joe Molineaux. And now it's time to shine the spotlight on Gia Taylor and gain some extra illumination on exactly what Gia Taylor Cosmetics offers and brings to the community right here in South Jersey. Gia, thank you for allowing us to turn the spotlight on your business.
Thank you.
So let's go through it. What is it exactly that Gia Taylor Cosmetics does?
In a nutshell, we make fully vegan and cruelty-free cosmetics and skincare, but beyond that, they feel good while they are on. They're not sticky, they're not tacky, and I think that's what sets us apart.
Clearly, because you have reached a measurable level of success with a lot of clients and a lot of followers. So that's a huge undertaking for one person. How do you, that would be the other part of the spotlight, how do you do what you do?
One product at a time.
Oh.
One product at a time. When I first launched 5 years ago, I had maybe 6 or 8, and it took me months to prepare for that. And now every single item is thought of individually and then created. I would never have a bunch of things going on at once. It's one at a time, gets my full attention, and then we go to the next. You
know, I've read about that recently through an expert business person that actually said if you want to be successful, just focus on one thing, do that one thing really well, and then you can move on to something else when you master that, and that's what your model is. That's great. And it's funny that it's coming back around. So the third one is, who do you do this for? So who is your client base? Who's the end user and the purchaser of these products?
The client base is definitely a wide range. I mean, my 2-year-old niece loves it, and so does my grandmother. Okay. But primarily, I would say teens, maybe early 20s. Just because of the nature of the product. It's lip gloss, very popular in high school and college even. I see it all over campus. I always try to see what people are using. So I always keep them in mind. It's kind of my people too, at least for right now.
So it's funny when you said you kind of look to see what people are using. So does that sometimes surprise you? Like you look over and you're in some other place or somewhere else in the state or maybe in another county, and you look over and you see someone using one of your products. Does it give you that feeling of like, wow?
It does. It totally does. Yeah, especially when I go to events and I see people, they'll pull an older one out of their purse or their pocket. That's what they were using that day, and they just stumbled upon me again.
I think that's great. I think that's awesome. Okay, so the last, not the final question, but the last part of the spotlight would be, why do you do what you do? Sometimes you have to look in the mirror and say, you know, show up every day, but why do you do what you do?
There's 2 main driving factors. One is myself when I was 17 when I started it. I felt like so overwhelmed at times and like, is this even gonna work out? Am I wasting my money investing into this? Is it a good idea? So that is a big driving force, is that here I am now doing this, and she would not believe that at some points in time, would not believe that this is where it led.
Yeah, the younger you would not believe where the older you has led this.
That definitely is a driving force.
That's wild.
And also, the clients, primarily the children to my clients, because they'll come up to me at shows again and they'll be like, I only have this amount of money to spend today, and they want to only spend it on my stuff, or they want to take a picture with me, or all they want is a hug, or like, I don't want to not show up for an event one time and there's a little girl who came just for me, and I'm not there.
That's a driving factor right there, and it's rewarding too. Wow.
It absolutely is.
I love it. That's great. So I guess my final question would be, I mean, everything seems to be rolling, but what does the future hold for you personally and for your business?
I feel pretty steady in my online sales, and I ship out to several retailers across the country, but what I really want to do is get in more stores locally. So when I do have people come to me at pop-up events and they're like, where's your store? I can be like, oh, come find me in this store, and also help some of those small businesses around us too. So I want to start putting down some more roots.
That's a great idea, and I think that's not only a great, authentic way to grow your business, but I think it's authentic to you and your nature of wanting to be out there and support the community. So thank you very much. That was today's Spotlight, providing a clear view of what Gia Taylor Cosmetics is all about. We'll be right back. Gia, we meet so many business owners that have either a Stockton connection or a community connection, but you have two great connections there. Can you talk a little bit about your decision to start your college education here at Stockton?
Absolutely. I knew I wanted to go into business for obvious reasons.
Yes.
So I was slowly looking at what colleges near me offered business, and my mom had gone to Stockton and couldn't have said better things back when it was a college, not a university yet.
Sure.
Yeah, and also with this business, I was really committed to it, even though it was still so young. I didn't want to go far. I wanted to be able to still have my roots in my office that I was moving into at the time, and be able to commute to the college, and Stockton was just the perfect blend. And so I expressed my interest, and I was able to sign up and get in a instant decision day.
That's great.
I started on the entrepreneur track.
That's awesome. Yeah, the fact that you do have a university so close to your home base, and the fact that you were committed to business, but you also knew how important the education was. It was like the perfect coming together of two great ideas. So you run this business the whole time you're in class. I guess you're meeting some professors that were inspirational to this in the entrepreneurial class that helped you kind of build the business from an educational standpoint. Did you meet any standout educators?
Absolutely, yeah. There were tons along the way, but most notably would be Monica Madio. I look up to her so much. I took her entrepreneur class. It was my very first night class that I've ever taken.
Wow.
And when I first signed up, I didn't know anything about her, and I was like dreading that class. I didn't want to go at night. It was dark out.
I get
and
it.
I was like, I just want to drop it. And I showed up the first class, and I was immediately enamored. I was like, okay, I'm going to show up every single day. I can't wait to come next. I am just obsessed with everything she says.
And she's leading the entrepreneurial program now, and that's great for Stockton and good for her, and awesome for you to experience that at an early point in your career. So you do the undergraduate, you graduate with an undergraduate degree, then you make another decision to continue your education at Stockton. How did that decision come about? And again, you have that life balance, right? Your business is blowing up in a good way. You have relationships you're forming, all those other things. Life is happening to you. What was that commitment like to say, okay, I'm going back and I want to go for my master's now?
So actually, part of my instant decision day, when I was talking about why I wanted to join the business degree and what my interests were, and I'd be a commuter student because of my business, they actually brought up the idea of their dual degree program.
Oh, perfect.
And so I was enrolled in the dual degree program as a freshman, so I knew I would always be continuing my education here.
That's great. So you already, talk about planning, and you mentioned as part of our conversation, you were talking about the fact that you sometimes look ahead and you plan backwards, right? You take the steps backwards.
Always.
So you already knew where you were going to be in that master's program, and you were going to aspire to be in that program.
Yeah.
That's great. So how about in the master's so far? Any standout professors that impressed you with the work that they do?
Again, several. I think I'm going to say.
I have an idea.
One of my favorites is Brian Cahill.
Yeah.
He's like a marketing mega mind. Again, it was
I
one
love
of
that description.
It was.
He may actually start using the mega mind of marketing.
Yes, yeah. It was one of those scenarios again where I would come into the class and I was like really glad I came. I am just taking it all in. Everything he says it's exactly I felt like I was on a level almost. I was like, yes, this is.
You know what's great about what you just said about both those professors? Sometimes people look at college and there's necessary classes they have to take, but the way you describe both of those experiences, you know you're paying to be here. I mean, it's a cost to go to college, but it's an investment. And I think it feels like to me that you were getting the most, that return on investment was instantaneous. And the fact that you just kept showing up, it was like reassuring that you were making the right decision.
Absolutely. I couldn't wait for the next class. With both of them, that's how it felt.
So we have one more question. you have been, so successful with this business, and it sounds like you're also being able to give back to some charities. So frequently you're asked to do a donation, right? How do you put together, and what do you do for a donation when a charity asks you to let your business be part of that charity?
I usually put together a little basket. Sometimes they're asking for specific items and I'll put them together really nice. They're doing raffles, or sometimes they don't want an item, they just want me to come to the event, and
Wow.
I'll bring a booth with me with some items,
Yeah.
and I'll just talk to the kids. And
That's great.
A lot of cheer teams, like middle and elementary school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love sending baskets out to the different events.
Well, you were talking about being inspired, and I think you're an inspiration to so many people, not just in the Stockton community, but the young entrepreneurs that are entering the program, as well as the people you work with every day and the charities you support. So thank you very much for being an inspiration and helping our community be better.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that's the show. We had a solid business discussion with Gia Taylor, founder of Gia Taylor Cosmetics. Once again, thank you to Stockton University and everyone that makes this program possible. Let's do it again next time. And until then, let's get growing, South Jersey. Thanks for watching.